There is a big difference between hostile state and a threat. There is no mentioning of a word as a hostile because it is quite a different level of attitude. But you are right, in the review, there are 14 times Russia mentioned as an acute threat to the United Kingdom, but there is no single proof or explanation to any kind of a formulation. In some places, Russia has been accused as being a threat, while for its cultural influence, China and Russia are supposed to influence culturally UK, and this is the threat of the UK. I was amazed by all of this. Besides all other accusations, they boiled down to a whole story of Skripal, which is 3 years old and which has no substance under it or information about it. So in our opinion, it is all false.
Let me put to you what I've seen that you've denied, the idea that Russia is a threat. I've seen that you've said that we regret that London continues to formulate its approach to relations to Moscow on the basis of confrontation, that it is London, it is the British government that is doing the confronting. I just wanted to touch on that because it is 7 years ago, almost to the day, that Russia illegally invaded Ukraine. Russian-backed troops stand accused of shooting down a passenger airline, MH17, in Ukraine, killing 298 people. Twice, Russia has used chemical weapons to kill people in the UK. In Salisbury, you mentioned it, an innocent woman died after GRU agents used Novichok. Frequently, Russian aircraft have to be intercepted around UK airspace. On cyber, the UK military is accusing Russia of attempting to jam satellite communications of RAF aircraft leaving the British base in Akrotiri in Cyprus. The same UK intelligence says Russia is supplying mercenary groups, such as the Wagner Group with fighter jets, transport planes, air defense missiles. Russia launched anti-satellite missiles 3 times in the last year, an act that weaponizes space. And that is before we get to troll farms, state-sponsored cyber attacks. So remind me, Ambassador, who is it that's being confrontational here?
All of this is very interesting, of course. The role that you have mentioned, most of the things that you are saying about, they're not relevant to the United Kingdom. Ukraine is a totally different thing. If you would like to dwell on that, I will explain to you that 3 years ago, the nationalistic government under nationalistic slogans has come to power and started to oppress Russian-speaking language people. And in Ukraine, more than 40% there are Russian-speaking and quite a big percentage of Russians. And even military actions started to be launched against these Russians. Of course, we cannot tolerate that it is happening because people will be killed. And this is the reason why in Crimea there was a referendum by 2 million people, Russian people, and they decided to join Russia. So all this has been done totally legally. About other accusations, as you said, you can, of course, launch whatever it is, accuse Russia about everything, about Cyprus, which I have read today in the newspapers. But we would prefer...
Do you deny that? Does Russia deny that they've been involved there?
We prefer to deal with this type of accusations by a way of dialogue. We suggested several times a dialogue on cyber issues because we have a special cyber center. We have said, let's sit down and talk about that, but no response. If other things are worrying Britain, let us sit down at the table and discuss what it is, what are the concerns. But if you will read thoroughly this integrated concept, you will see that there is no mentioning of a dialogue at all about Russia. Accusations, accusations, and accusations. This is very different from other strategic papers, even from the strategic paper by the UK from 2015, even different from strategic paper by NATO, because NATO, on the one hand, it is about the deterrence, and on the other hand, about a dialogue. So exploring the threats, but UK is denying exploration. They would like just to accuse.
That may well be the case, Ambassador, but just on the points about the the satellite jamming of RAF aircraft and the supplying of mercenary groups. Do you deny that that is the case then?
Oh, There are special bodies, international bodies. The supply of the satellite navigations and satellite issues are being discussed in Geneva in the Conference of Disarmament. These are the place where you're supposed to produce facts and to discuss the issues and to find out measures necessary to it. The issues you are mentioning, the anti-satellite weaponry, is being discussed about 30 years. I was for a long time in arms control, and I remember all of that. When it has been raised in the first place by the Americans, we can do the same, but you will never say what is going on in this space. This is a matter for the specialists, not for the newspapers.
Okay, oh, I haven't heard an express denial, Ambassador. But on the point about dialogue, when was the last?
Wait a second. It's not about the denial. I'm not talking about the denial. If we are going to deny each time every accusation which is in the 13 pages of the concept, it makes no sense. We just suggest discussion and explanation and substitution and founding the facts, please.
Well, on the dialogue then, when was the last time you had a conversation with Dominic Raab?
It was only once or in December 19, I guess. I haven't seen Dominic Raab at all.
Have you made requests to speak to him?
Well, usually I was told that Minister of Foreign Affairs in UK is very rarely meeting ambassadors.
So you've put in a request and you've been denied?
Exactly.
So that's a yes. You've been turned down for a meeting by the British government?
No, there was no subject that British government is found valuable to discuss with the Russian ambassador.
In response to the IR, you've said in relations with the UK, Russia will act exactly the same way as the UK has been acting towards us. Do you view the UK as hostile? No,
absolutely not. We have never seen UK as a hostile. We have a very long history of relationship. It is about 450 years of relationship, diplomatic relationship between Russia and the UK. There were different periods. Sometimes we were adversaries to each other during Crimean War, for instance, and even during the First World War. Sometimes we are and civil war over the territory of Russia, but sometimes we were allies also during the Second World War. So it is all different. We were adversaries during the Cold War recently because there were different ideologies. We were promoters of the communist ideology and socialist ideology, and this was capitalistic state. But today there is no ideological differences at all. So this is why we do not understand why such a I would say hostile. I don't like the word hostile, but why such an attitude is being towards us, because British government has demolished most of our relationship. We are preserving it mainly in the economic field and cultural field, but as for political field, it is nearly dead.
You talk about an attitude displayed by the British government. You don't want to use the word hostile. How would you define that attitude? Threatening? Difficult?
No, I would say it's difficult relationship.
That is very diplomatic. When you say there's no ideological difference between Russia and the UK, some might find that hard to believe, particularly on the issue of human rights. Do you view Britain as having a same approach to Russia as on human rights?
No, well, Britain is trying to find certain pieces on human rights and launching in the newspapers mainly as an accusations. Of course, we can do in a similar way because there is no single nation that has no violation in the human rights. Look at the United States, and it is a problem with the black people over there. I think that here in UK, but we are not specifically searching for that. We do believe that each nation has its own special problems and its own special attitudes towards people. So human rights is a difficult area, but it belongs to the sovereignty of the state of its own.
Do you think that Britain has poor human rights records in attitudes towards its own people here?
I think that British nation is one of the most tolerant state towards its region. Laws are very liberal, and the people behaves, but of course there are problems as well in Britain, problem of terrorism and many others. So I'm not a big specialist in that, and we do not specifically investigate it, but there are cases, of course. Speaking about Julian Assange, this is one of the best examples because he was arrested for violation of probation, by the way, by the British police. And then he was in the court for violation of probation. It is very much look like Navalny situation.
You think Assange and Navalny are similar situations?
In terms of application of law towards them, they're absolutely identical situation.
That Julian Assange is being held incorrectly or unnecessarily, or that they're being held by the same application of law?
He was arrested because he has violated terms of probation. That was an official explanation from the British justice.
Let me ask you about Boris Johnson then. How would you view Boris Johnson? How would you describe Boris Johnson towards Russia?
I don't have any opinion attitude because Boris Johnson for the moment is very much busy with the internal politics in the first place, and second, he is very busy in establishing a relationship in a post-Brexit situation with his main partners. And his main partners, so this is clear, this is European Union and the United States, mainly the United States, because we see that there is an idea to establish British English-speaking world and mainly British politics is mainly targeted to this. So I do understand the difficulty, but he is not very much expressive about his policy towards other issues.
He did visit, he came to Moscow in 2017 when he was Foreign Secretary, met with Sergei Lavrov, and you know, relationship has deteriorated since then, it's fair to say. Could you see a place in which Boris Johnson comes to Russia again as Prime Minister, or Vladimir Putin comes to the UK?
We would appreciate this very much. Vladimir Putin was twice on a visit here to the UK. Boris Johnson was in Moscow as a minister, but I hope as an ambassador that I will live up to this point when Boris Johnson is going to visit Moscow and Russia altogether, as a queen has been done in the middle of 90s.
President Biden called Vladimir Putin a killer. Is he?
No, this is up to Biden. I don't think that we are going to discuss this in depth. President Putin has responded in a way that he wished him good health. So it is not up to Biden to say why he did say that.
But you don't think President Putin is a killer? Me?
Of course not. He is very wise statesman. President Putin is a very wise statesman. He has brought together Russia after terrible things that has happened in the 90s. Since the year 2000, it has become a different nation and a different country, and it is becoming stronger and stronger. It is becoming more influential, more sovereign, and it has its own interests, and it's going to defend our own interests.
One of the things that we've seen over the course of the pandemic is different nations at various points relying on vaccines. Has the UK made any approach to Russia about the Sputnik vaccine? And what do you make of Germany saying that they wouldn't be averse to using the Russian-made vaccine?
Not only Germany, many nations, Italy, Slovenia, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Hungary. Hungary was already using, Czech Republic has already acquired, Slovakia as well acquired some vaccine. In Italy, we have settled a contract to produce vaccine over there. And in anticipation that European Medical Agency is going to register Sputnik 5, we haven't seen any sign of interest here in Britain for the Russian vaccine. But if there will be interest, of course, we will respond to that. Sputnik 5 is a very effective one, yes.
Yeah.
Sputnik 5 is very efficient. Yeah,
it's interesting that Germany is looking at asking Russia for it, or isn't averse to. You mentioned other European countries that are using it. So whether it's the vaccine or gas provided via the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. To what extent do you think Europe is becoming more reliant on Russia?
No, come on. This is economic relationship. What do you mean? We have a vice versa reliance on each other. You know that in Russia, still, despite of all differences and despite with all discussions here, about 600 British companies continue to work successfully. And altogether, these are only those who are residing in Russia, in Moscow and other cities. And altogether, we counted about 4,000 British firms that are working in Russia.
Mm-hmm. Do you think then, because
a lesser number from the Russian side, about 130.
We've talked, clearly about where there are some very difficult issues and some very serious allegations. What would you view as an area where, or the biggest area where you think that there is the greatest room for cooperation between the UK and Russia?
Well, first of all, what we would like to do is to clear out the issues of threats, of course. This is unacceptable at all. As for
Which threats, though? What threats have the UK made to Russia?
No, all sorts of threats that we do not speak about threats provided by the UK. We do not see any. We know that there are cyber threats to our infrastructure, but we do not attribute it to any nation. We do believe that there are hackers in the world, some even groups of hackers in the world, but we are not trying to say that UK is standing behind the threats. It is nonsense. It is very international. And in the current world, you cannot attribute this or that threat in the cyberspace to any specific nation. Mainly these are groups. So we do not see, in fact. However, if UK is going to continue to raise a number of nuclear warheads, and this was a big surprise for the whole world, I would say even for the American experts, so they think, UK, what are you doing? You are increasing a number of warheads by 40%. This is violation of the Treaty of Non-Proliferation and many other agreements that are saying only decline, or only a reduction in the number of nukes. This is a current trend.
You see the UK as perhaps changing its posture to be more threatening towards Russia by increasing the number of nuclear warheads?
Well, I don't think so, because we are in a different strata of the world. The forces of UK is much more inferior to those that Russia is having.
So the threat is what? That the UK has apparently breached the non-proliferation treaty as opposed to a posture. Yeah, that's the issue for you.
It's Article 6. It is in the breach of Article 6. It is in the breach with the Treaty on Elimination of Nuclear Armament in the world, which has been recently concluded and ratified, but not by us, not by UK, and not by the United States. And moreover, I will say that it was always the reason. So we have bilateral negotiations with the United States. The United States is demanding that China should join this conversation about reduction of treaty. We're saying, okay, let's UK and France do the same. But the argument was always that UK does not increase its arsenal. And now we have learned that UK is increasing it by 40%. Of course, naturally, they're supposed to join now the table to join the conversation about reduction in the nukes.
That's a lot less than Russia has, though, 260.
No, we have a long story with the Americans. So of course we at one point we raised it up to 10,000, and since that time we are diminishing to 3,000 and even lower. So just 1,500, 1,600. So, but we have gone to this during 20 years of time. So that is it was a long path just to get to the reasonable self-sufficient levels of the nuclear warhead. So this kind of exposure, okay.
So it doesn't seem like, Ambassador, unfortunately, that there is much area for greater cooperation until this arms issue is resolved. Would that be fair?
Not only. I think that what we need to do what we need to do immediately is to relaunch economic relationship, of course, and it will be vital and important for United Kingdom after Brexit, especially when when the UK is in search of other partners and other trade deals. We have a lot to offer to the UK if they will be interested in doing it. But the strategic concept says nothing about cooperation with Russia. It says quite a lot with cooperation with other states, but not with Russia.
Well, I see that Boris Johnson or Downing Street has refitted a media center there using a Russian company to do it. So perhaps there's a thawing there that allows a Russian company to go and build the media center in Downing Street.
No, as a counterexample, I can tell you that one of the biggest British company is now providing services for storage of data in Moscow and in Russia, and we're not against it, and we're not afraid of it.
Just finally, then the European. I'm not sure if you're a football fan, Ambassador, but the European Games obviously postponed last year to this year. Russia playing in those, obviously. Would you be supportive of the UK hosting the European Championships in the summer if UEFA decided that they needed to because of the pandemic?
You know, I'm not a football lover, but I love tennis. I play tennis 3 times a week, and I like it very much. And I would prefer very much if in Wimbledon we will see Medvedev and all other players which are now in the top 10.
Well, we hope you can get to Wimbledon, Ambassador, later on in the year if it all opens up.